जय राधा माधवा कुंज बिहारी जय राधा कुंज बिहारी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी जय श्री वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी यशोदानंदन व्रज जन रंजना यशोदानंदन व्रज जन यशोदानंदन भज जन रंजना यशोदानंदन भज जन रंजना यमुना तीरा वनचारी यमुना तीरा वनचारी यमुना तीरा वनचारी यमुना तीरा वनचारी जय राधा माधवा कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधवा कुंज बिहारी गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी यशोदानंदन व्रज जन रंजना यशोदानंदन व्रज जन रंजना यमुना तीरा वनचारी तीरा वनचारी हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम राम हरे हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम राम Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Jagannatha Baladeva, Jai Subhadra, Jaya Sudarshana. Jaya Jagannatha, Jaya Baladeva, Jaya Bengalurishvara, Jaya Bengalurishvara, Jaya Bengalurishvara, Jaya Bengalurishvara, Jaya Bengalurishvara, Jaya Gaurangi, Bengalurishvara Gaurangi, Bengalurishvara Gaurangi. Jaya Gaurangi, Bengalurishvara Gaurangi, Bengalurishvara Gaurangi. Jaya Nitai Chaitanya, Jaya Nitai Chaitanya, Jaya Nitai Chaitanya, Jaya Nitai Chaitanya. Jaya Nitai Chaitanya, Jaya Nitai Chaitanya, Jaya Jaya Lakshmi Narasimha, Jaya Ananta Dev, Prahlad Narasimha, Jaya Ananta Dev, Jaya Jaya Ananta Dev, Prahlad Narasimha, Jaya Ananta Dev, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada. जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्रजकाचार्य स्तोत्र सदस्य श्रीमद् अरविंद भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी श्री प्रभुपाद की जय। जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्रजकाचार्य स्तोत्र सदस्य श्रीमद् भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी महाराज श्री प्रभुपाद की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। नामाचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की जय। ब्रजभूमि श्री वृंदावन धाम की जय। मायापुर श्री नवद्वीप धाम की जय। मथुरा धाम की जय। द्वारका धाम की जय। जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय। गंगा माई की जय। यमुना माई की जय। भक्ति देवी की जय। तुलसी महारानी की जय। समवेत गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। गौर भक्त प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories, all glories, all glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Jaya Srila Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. 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 Narayanam Namaskritya. Narayanam Namaskritya. Naram Chaiva Narottamam. Naram Chaiva Narottamam. Devim Saraswatim Vyasam. Devim Saraswatim Vyasam. Tato Jayamudiraye. Tato Jayamudiraye. Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu. Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu. Nityam Bhagavatas Sevaya. Nityam Bhagavatas Sevaya. Bhagavati Uttama Shloke. Bhagavati Uttama Shloke. Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki. Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki. Hari Om Tat Sat. So Hare Krishna devotees, welcome for ISKCON Seshadri Brahms Sriva Sangan chapter, Bhakti Sadan, morning, Saturday morning Srimad Bhagavatam class. So today I have been asked to summarize fourth canto, fourth chapter, second half. Fourth chapter is entitled Sati Quits Her Body. The second half is actually where the actual quitting of the body is performed by Sati. So we will go through this. These are wonderful verses, and Prabhupada nicely glorifies the position of Lord Shiva in this section also, earlier section also, we saw how the Lord Shiva is described as Vaishnavanam Yatha Sambhu. That means he is the topmost of Vaishnavas, and so fitting glories that Prabhupada is giving for the topmost Vaishnava here. So we can see some of these these aspects from this summarization today. So we will see this has 34 verses. So I think we will take up from 17th verse onwards. I'll share the screen first. As usual, I'll read the first shloka in Sanskrit. The subsequent shlokas, we will read the translation and then we will try to understand what is written by Prabhupada for those verses. Srimad Bhagavatam, 4th Canto, 4th chapter, 17th verse. Karnopidaya nirayat yad akalpa ishi dharma vitari ashrinubir nrubir asya mane Chindyat prasahya rushatim ashatim prabhuschej jivhan asun api tato vishrujetsa dharmaha. Word by word meaning. Karnav, both ears. Pidaya, blocking. Nirayat, one should go away. Yet, if. Akalpaha, unable. Isi, the master. Dharma avitari, the controller of religion. Ashrunubihi, by irresponsible. Nribihi, persons. Ashyamane, being blasphemed. Chindyat, he should cut. Prasahya, by force. Rushatim, vilifying. Asatim, of the blasphemer. Prabhu, one is able. Chet, if. Jivhan, tongue. Asun, his own life. Api, certainly. Tataha, then. Vishrujet, should give up. Sa, that. Dharmaha is the process. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Sati continued, if one hears an irresponsible person blaspheme the master and controller of religion, one should block his ears and go away if unable to punish him. But if one is able to kill, then one should by force cut out the blasphemer's tongue and kill the offender. And after that, one should give up his own life. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshururmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadanti Swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsya Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tamsa Jivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamsya. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrunda Vaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhayevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvasesa Sunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shri Vasadi Gaurabhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So now we will try to understand. So these verses are in the background. Sati quits her body, where Sati has come to her father's house, Daksha, where he is performing yajna. And Lord Shiva was not invited because of his enmity. And after coming here, she was thinking possibly if I go there, things will become okay. After all, they are my parents, they will correct themselves like that. She goes there, but unfortunately, her father does not change his attitude. As a result, Sati is actually putting up some arguments with him, and then she finally decides, I will quit the body where there is no respect for my husband, somewhere actually Prabhupada is even writing this supreme devotee, kind of like that, supreme spiritual master like that. Prabhupada is writing for Lord Shiva. So to such a great exalted personality that, my father has committed offense, therefore I will quit my body. This is her mood, and we are now seeing what's happening in that flow of Sati's thought process, and what her words are and what her action is. So this particular verse is talking about Sati's interpretation of the Vedic scriptures, where she's actually saying, if someone blasphemes the master, who's actually the controller of religion. Master means there could be so many material masters. That doesn't mean people immediately, if someone says something about my boss, then I can just go and kill the other person who said, that is not what is mentioned. When he say blaspheme the master, who's actually the controller of religion. And controller of religion, that's the word used. If one hears an irresponsible person blaspheme the master and controller of religion. So Shiva is that exalted position. So if someone blasphemes, Lord Shiva is in such an exalted position. Therefore, if someone blasphemes such a personality, then what should happen? So the first thing is that the person should actually, at least it's in the scriptures, we don't, there are alternatives given also, but what is given in the scriptures we are reading, where then the person's tongue has to be cut and then the person should be killed. That is what has been mentioned. And of course, if that person cannot be killed, like, if he's too powerful, then as that we can't even touch him or whatever, then one needs to block his ears and go away from that place. And also, in some situations, to give up his own life. That one who hears such blasphemy has to give up his own life. This is the Vedic version. So Prabhupada gives very nicely. In various situations, he is giving that. So for example, if a Brahmana hears a blasphemy, then a Brahmana has to close his ears and go away. But he should not kill himself. Because if he kills himself, that becomes like killing a Brahmana. So that becomes a Brahmahatya. So, you know what is the position of a Brahmana, killing of a Brahmana. And if a Brahmana kills himself, then it's also suicide, is also in a way Brahmahatya. Therefore, he will have to suffer for that. And there are so many other injunctions. Therefore, he should simply close his ears and go away from that place. But if it's a Kshatriya who hears a blasphemy, naturally a Kshatriya has got the right to kill, at least as per the Vedic scriptures. Not that there's nothing called Kshatriya because it's a democracy. So therefore that does not apply in today's context. But if it's the Varnashrama Dharma, the Kshatriya is there, then the Kshatriya is authorized to kill, therefore cut the tongue and kill. If it is lower forms, lower categories, like, who are not ignorant or very passionate, those kinds of personalities, technically called Vaishyas and Shudras and, those kind of things, then they don't have the ability to kill either, all those things. So they simply go away from there and commit suicide. So this is mentioned like this. And Sati actually decided to take this last one. And there are reasons given why she is actually taking this last one. That means give up her own body. Instead of hearing such blasphemy, better I give my body away. So we will see what is the thought process, what is the sequence of these discussions. We go to the next one. Next one, 4:4:18. What is the translation is? Therefore, I shall no longer bear this unworthy body which has been received from you, who have blasphemed Lord Shiva. If someone has taken food which is poisonous, the best treatment is to vomit. So now there could be an argument like, why can't she? She's a very powerful personality. After all, who is Sati? She is the representation of the external potency of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna. So if the external energy of Godhead cannot do anything, it's very difficult to comprehend, right? No, she's the most powerful in this material world. Then how is it that she will not be able to vanquish this Daksha? But actually, she chooses not to do because she feels if I do that, then it will be like my husband has used me to kill my father. So this does not, then my husband should not get such an infamy that, he needed support from his, wife, that too, particularly a lady, to go and kill. It's not nice, right? That ladies are supposed to be very gentle, so how that husband used his wife to go and kill someone like that, such a bad name should not come to Lord Shiva. So, uh, that people should not think because he is inferior to Daksha, he used the external energy of Krishna to kill, which is basically his own wife in this situation. That he to do that. So she doesn't want her husband to get a bad name like that. Instead, I would rather kill myself. This is her thought process. In 4.4.19, it is better to execute one's own occupational duty than to criticize others. Elevated transcendentalists may sometimes forego the rules and regulations of the Vedas, since they do not need to follow them, just as the demigods travel in space, whereas ordinary men travel on the surface of the earth. So, here some context is given for why is Lord Shiva like the way he is. Like, at sometimes it's mentioned he doesn't take bath. He's in the graveyard. He's just having skull on his shoulder, the human skulls as a garland, and body smeared with ashes. And, so many, generally it is considered, why is he unclean like this? This is when someone sees this description, they will think, oh, he's so unclean. A Vaishnava is always clean and, perfect, very, very smart looking, in the sense, smart in the sense very presentable to preach the message of Godhead like that. But how come that Lord Shiva is like that? So here, this particular verse where Shati is saying is, there are always exceptions. And because of those because of such things, Daksha considered him that, he's lowly. But that is not the case. So it very clearly mentions, elevated transcendentalists may sometimes forego the rules and regulations of the Vedas, since they do not need to follow them. And the example given is just like the demigods travel in space, whereas men travel on the surface of the earth. So demigods, they transcend, or even we can experience it when we fly on a plane. You can cross the Amazon forest like that, on a plane. But you know how difficult it is if you are on the Amazon, area with all these animals and all that. But normally, if you are not such an have the ability to fly by airplane, then common man has to take walk, right? Like that. So the demigods also, they travel across the universe. They go from this planet to that planet to that planet and all that. They just go like that. But today, if you think about the best of human beings, then it's very difficult. They need to have special aircrafts which is not like available. There may be one or two in the whole world which can travel like that. And even then, the men cannot simply go as he has to put so many space suits, so many things, just to move from one small dot to another small dot. Forget about going to so many different planets. Those things have not yet evolved, at least from a scientific perspective. But the demigods can travel. They, like Indra, Chandra, they all travel. Whenever there's a Havan happening, they are supposed to be present. Of course, they don't do it in Kali Yuga for a reason, that in Kali Yuga, people are not having the ability to actually perceive or even see these demigods, and let alone the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So even the demigods are not visible to our eyes. But in the earlier, before this Yuga, previous 3 Yugas, people could actually see why the demigod, even the Lord personally in front like that. But in Kali Yuga, people are so degraded. First, not qualified. Second, they are also not having the ability to see. Therefore, the Lord doesn't appear, neither does the demigods visible. In that context, I just want to, suddenly as I'm speaking, I'm remembering, if you go to Sri Rangam, in front of the main temple, the Sanctum Sanctorium, you will see one pillar which is slightly like bent, like I am now behind a cupboard. Now, if it's straight, it's difficult for me to sit. So the cupboard, actually, if it slightly slants, so that it gives a nice space for me to put my back like that, like that. You will see one of the pillar has a kind of a slanting thing so that the speaker who's giving a class sitting there, he can slightly lean back and give good support to his back. There's one place like that. So there, one of the Alvas, he was giving a nice lecture, very wonderful lecture. And Ranganath, who's inside the altar sleeping, or rather in his transcendental sleep, if we should say, not sleeping. It's not material sleep. It is transcendental sleep. So he's this lying there. When he's hearing this lecture, he was so happy. He was so, very eager and very happy to see this lecture. He came out and stood there on the door of the altar, right, resting his hand on the wall and then putting his leg across and then nicely watching his class going on smilingly. Then this Alvar saw the Lord is actually coming and seeing this class. Then he immediately said, "Oh Lord, what are you doing? In Kali Yuga, you are not supposed to be seen like this. Please go back and lie down there." So the Lord went back and went back into the sanctum sanctorium and laid down on the snake bed, Adisesha. So the point what I was trying to make is, in Kali Yuga, you don't get to see the Lord personally come here, and physically people are not able to see because of the degraded condition of the people, not because of the Lord is not capable of coming in front of us in Kali Yuga, not like that. It's because we are not qualified to see the Lord. So in this situation, what is the example given was like that. Therefore, sometimes great, even in our own Nityananda Prabhu, right? Avadut, they call him, right? Sometimes, he does not, fall within the category of how a strict sadhaka devotee is supposed to behave. So Nityananda is ecstatic. He will do things which are not commonly done by normal devotees. Like, you won't see Prabhupada. Normal means even a pure devotee. Even Prabhupada won't behave in certain ways like how Nityananda Prabhu did. But there are times when Prabhupada would have behaved differently also. Because the pure devotees, we can't understand the pure devotees. We can't put them in the way we are supposed to, sadhaka devotees are to perform their, how they should look, how they should behave, how they should speak. No, pure devotees, they transcend all of this, and particularly in this case, Lord Shiva is transcended, and therefore he did not conform to the normal rules and regulations of ordinary jivas or even sadhakas like that. So that is being discussed here, and therefore do not think because Lord Shiva is like that you can think he is lowly. No. He is the supermost devotee of the Lord. He is transcended all of these material qualifications. Therefore, Sati asserted that he had no need to observe such rules. It is said that for one who is powerful like the sun or the fire, this example is so beautiful. Only Prabhupada can give such examples. You see, he's saying the sunshine can sterilize any impure place. Whereas if someone else were to pass such a place, he would be affected. Is it not? Like, if there are occasions when stool and urine and all is there. Normal human beings, we can't even tolerate such things even for a minute, right? Wherever you see such things, you run away from that place. But the sun, he can actually purify that place, and he can make it, because of the heat, in a matter of times, we have seen so many times, that stool or thing is actually not even, the effect of that is not there because of the heat that he generates that. So he can actually purify such a place, but an ordinary person cannot purify such a place. Therefore, a person who is transcendented, he does not have to conform to the Lord, and he can actually do whatever but still be in the transcendental position. But ordinary jiva sadhakas cannot be. Therefore, it is said, if someone else were to pass such a place, he would be affected. One should not try to imitate Lord Shiva. Rather, one should strictly follow one's prescribed occupational duties. One should never vilify a great personality like Lord Shiva. So this is very nicely explained. Sometimes we also see some devotees, some advanced devotees maybe, we don't know. Don't try to, why is he like that? Why is she like that? That is not our problem. It is, if at all he or she is not following it, really not following it, that is his situation. Or maybe they are in an advanced stage, they can do sometimes. Sometimes we think we go by the textbook. This where it is given like this exactly. But I see this Prabhu who's considered a very senior devotee, he did like this. How can he do this? Sometimes when we are in the Kanishta stage, we may behave like that. But we should be mindful not to talk. Maybe it is true, maybe it is not true. If it is true, the person is actually bad, that is not my responsibility to correct him. It is a spiritual master to correct him. But if he's in a different plane altogether, I sort of become a blam spammer. Why should I get into all that? That's not my business to comment on other devotees unless I am an authority for that devotee. So these are some things which we can pick up. I'm connecting this. It's not specifically written here, but what he has written is one should never vilify a great personality like Lord Shiva. So means not to blam spam, and that applies to higher Vaishnavas also. So let me go to the next one. 20. In the Vedas, there are directions for two kinds of activities. Activities for those who are attached to material enjoyment and activities for those who are materially detached. In consideration of these two kinds of activities, there are two kinds of people who have different symptoms. If one wants to see two kinds of activities in one person, that is contradictory. But both kinds of activities may be neglected by a person who is transcendentally situated. A little confusing if you read the verse as it's That means, as per the Vedas, we are given some prescriptions to perform karma kanda. Right? Perform karma kanda. So then if you are performing karma kanda, what is the characteristics? How do you do that? How do you do the yajna? Again, all the sadhaka related kind of thing. But the same Vedas present not just the karma kanda, because Vedas give you for dharma, artha, kama, moksha. So the first one is just the overall guideline dharma. Then following that, you come to artha and kama, which is the karma kanda sections, which is actually 96%, roughly 96% of the Vedic things. So that deals with how do I do certain things, what is the characteristics, how do I perform, what are the things. This is for material benefits. I will do this yajna, and for this I will get this benefit. I will enjoy that. So artha is I get that benefit, and kama is enjoy that benefit. So this is the first. Then the second portion is the moksha portion, which is the 4% of the Vedic, where people are not detached from the material thing. They don't want these material things, but they want to look for attainment of moksha, liberation. Their activities will be different. The rules and regulations, the grammar of the sadhaka in the material pursuit, his is different than one who's following the regulative principles for liberation. Now, here it is mentioned, you can't expect both of this in one person. Sometimes some devotees, when we are preaching, they'll ask, Prabhu, why can't we maintain a balance between having materially all our desires and enjoying it, and also take up spirituality? And this is contradicting. The idea of spirituality is to detach ourselves from material life and be situated completely in spiritual platform. How you can be enjoying everything and at the same time be also called I am very spiritually thing. So of course we Prabhupada has given very nicely. It's not about having some possessions. It is about how is our attitude towards that profession. So that is dovetailing everything in the service of the Lord. I mean, Vaishnavas, at least Prabhupada's thing is that we should not, it's not that you need to immediately go to the forest and, do it. You can be situated as is in your position. If you have wealth, so be it. You have the wealth. But it's not like, wealth is untouchable or something like that. You use it in Krishna's service. That's all. Dovetail it. Yukta Vairagya. So that is the process. So, but that doesn't mean that this person is materially attached to that. He should be materially attached to, okay, this is there, I will use it. The nice car is there, okay, use it. Take Jagannath for, wherever Jagannath has to go, take him, take the nice devotees, take the Maharaj. Like that, use that car. We see many of our devotees using like that, all the material opulence in Krishna's service like that. So that is accepted and welcome actually like that. You also need a nice car to take, for example, Jagannath for our Panihati, right? You can't take him in some very bad car. We need to use the car in that service. So if a car is fine, but as long as it is used in Krishna's service. So like that. In those days when Prabhupada used to go, they will use the best of cars. Like, when Prabhupada comes to America, they will use the car which is the topmost model at that time. They will somehow hire or do something. And actually, Prabhupada, the newspapers criticized. There's our headlines written, Godman comes in, like, car name I forget, what it glides in so and so car, like that the headlines will be there. But Prabhupada will laugh it away to say, now, why can't a pure devotee of the God be taken in such a nice car? He is as good as the Supreme Lord, and everybody should treat him with the highest thing possible. What is this car? He should be taken in a golden car, like that Prabhupada used to say. This is, it's not that Prabhupada was sitting and enjoying. That also we have seen in many places that Prabhupada will, while he's sitting inside the car, he is completely transcendental to what features are there. When we go on a nice car, we'll say, oh, this is there, oh, that is there, very nice. We will try to see how it works and all that. Prabhupada never bothered about any of these things. He will simply sit. He's just sitting there because I need to travel. But it is the duty of the disciple to give the best of facility to the spiritual master. So he's accepting because the disciple's duty it is, and he's accepting because as a spiritual master, it is his duty to accept the many cases, like, Prabhupada once, see, please don't mind me speaking, these are all things which we learn from that, not simply learning some scriptural, what is that? Once, he was wearing one of the best of watches, Rolls Royce, what is that? Best model watches. So people were thinking, oh, hey, Prabhupada is wearing this, because that one devotee had given him that watch. It's made of gold and gold plated and all that watch. So Prabhupada was wearing it. People were, oh, Prabhupada is wearing such a costly watch. What is the need? Something like that. But in front of the eyes, one lila happened. Another devotee actually came and he gave a very ordinary watch to Prabhupada. Then Prabhupada smiled very happily, received that watch. He removed this watch, put that watch on, and gave away this watch, what he was, that costly watch, to someone else. So that means he may be looking like wearing a costly watch, but he was completely detached from that. Oh, this one will cost so many X dollars, let me know. Okay, another watch was given to satisfy that devotee. He wore that watch and removed this watch and gave it away to someone else. So this is the position of pure devotees, that they are not attached to it. Now, you can't expect that to have both. Want to be materially attached and at the same time detached. But there are other kind of people who are completely transcendented to both these things. So that is the position of Lord Shiva has been written here by in this verse, and Prabhupada explains it very nicely. He's saying, it is stated there that when one fully engages in the transcendental service of the Lord by performing activities without fruitive results, one is elevated to the transcendental position. At that time, he has no obligation to follow the Vedic injunction or the different rules and regulations of the Vedas. When one is above the directions of the Vedic ritualistic injunction for attaining different allurements and is fully absorbed in transcendental thought, which means thoughts of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in devotional service, one is in a position called Buddhi Yoga or Samadhi, ecstasy. So this is the position of Lord Shiva. So we'll go to the next verse, 21. My dear father, the opulence we possess is impossible for either you or your flatterers to imagine. For persons who engage in fruitive activities by performing great sacrifices are concerned with satisfying their bodily necessities by eating foodstuffs offered as a sacrifice. We can exhibit our opulence simply by desiring to do so. This can be achieved only by great personalities who are renounced, self-realized souls. Very powerful verse. So Sati's father Daksha, he is thinking, I am such a great personality. Like, I have all the opulences. I am Prajapati. I am, very, very, I am who's who of the, what do you call, demigods. All demigods come when I ask them to come, including Lord Brahma, and even Lord Shiva is expected to come and pay obeisances to me. Because he didn't pay obeisances, I got angry. But my expectation is Lord Shiva also should come and pay obeisance because I'm such a great Prajapati. His father is thinking like that. But Lord Shiva, he lives in this Masana, that means the burial ground, and doesn't have any big place, like, like how I have a great palace and all. Lord Shiva just in a mountain, like a cave, he's living like that. How do you compare me with Lord Shiva? Like, no, that kind of a mentality. So Sati is telling him, us, don't have such foolish thoughts. These transcendent persons can manifest whatever they want. You can't even imagine what Lord Shiva can manifest. Yours is like a toy compared to what he can get. But actually, what he has got is something is transcendental bliss, which you cannot compare. All of the how many ever material universes put together will not be able to give this the transcendental bliss that Lord Shiva is getting. This is what she's trying to make, but we materialists cannot understand the value of what a transcendentalist gets. We can only just use the words to say, but the ecstasy one gets, it's there, I think, in Nectar of Devotion. Like, how much what do you call bliss an animal gets, and how much a human gets, how much a devata gets. It's all from a material perspective. And then how much bliss you get, everything is multiplied by thousands or lakhs, like that. And how much someone who has attained the Brahman feature, he gets. But that Brahman, if you are in Brahman state, like, it is almost looking like ultimate. But if you are a devotee who's like pure devotion, in pure devotion, the ecstasy, the bliss that you get is million, or like literally infinite times of what you get in Brahman, I believe, in Brahman state. So that we cannot comprehend. We can only read in the scripture. So it could be like that, but we can't experience that. But that is a fact. We have to accept the Vedic statements. So it is mentioned that, Lord Shiva, if he is not seen with such opulences, it is avyakta, that means it's unmanifested. And you can see this pure devotees also exhibit such amazing things. Prabhupada could control the clouds also. But these things, we are not simply saying because we are fans of Prabhupada. No, these are all, there are some books written where, about what Prabhupada's leelas and all that is there. So once Prabhupada was sitting and writing, Bhagavatam late night, and that time outside this lot of in the atmosphere was like rainy, and it's a lot of disturbance because so much thunder was blowing. So Prabhupada was very disturbed. The devotee seen this, has written it. So Prabhupada in that focused on that, and then this what do you call this? The thunder and sound, the lighting and sound was disturbing through the window. Then he just did like this. And he says that next minute, entirely the sky became very clear. There's nothing there. So these are all amazing powers, which they don't exhibit and tell the crowd and say, easy, I'm capable of doing this. I will do like this. No, but they don't do such things. These are all unmanifested. If they want, they can execute such powerful things in the material world. But they care least. They treat such material opponents like stool, like the Goswami, right? Rupa Goswami. He had kept that gold bar, right? And next to the dustbin. For him, the gold or the dustbin or a stone is of the same value. No material affection at all. So be it. There's another story I will tell another day. Maybe all of you already would know that. But in the context, this is all very important. For them, these material manifestations are not at all of any botheration completely. So Lord Shiva in that platform. Give me a second. My power is just slightly reducing, so I thought okay. Now let's the power for the laptop. Okay, now next we will go to the next verse. 22. You are an offender at the lotus feet of Lord Shiva, and unfortunately, I have a body produced from yours. I am very much ashamed of our bodily relationship. and I condemn myself because my body is contaminated by the relationship with a person who's an offender at the lotus feet of the greatest personality. Prabhupada here is quoting, Lord Shiva is the greatest of all devotees of Lord Vishnu. It is stated, Vaishnavanam yatha sambhuho. Lord Shiva is the greatest of all devotees of Lord Vishnu. In the previous verse, Sati has described that Lord Shiva is always in a transcendental position because he is situated in pure Vasudeva. Vasudeva is that state from which Krishna, Vasudeva, is born. So Lord Shiva is the greatest devotee of Lord Krishna. And Sati's behavior, he's saying, is exemplary, that one should not tolerate the blasphemy to such a great devotee of Lord Krishna. So she is aggrieved by her association with her father, who's so opulent, but actually not feeling bad, oh, my husband is like this. So this is her mood. Generally, sometimes we feel right when we compare, oh, that person is better than, my wife or my husband. But she is very clearly fixed up that, no, my husband is the best. And, I feel so ashamed to call myself your daughter. That kind of a mood that she was having. Exemplary behavior, Prabhupada is writing. It will be the next verse. Because of our family relationship, when Lord Shiva addresses me as Dakshayini, I at once become morose, and my jolliness and my smile at once disappears. I feel very much sorry that my body, which is just like a bag, has been produced by you. I shall therefore give it up. So she's saying, we all have different names, right? Sometimes someone may call you Chotu, or someone may call, in a very affectionate way, different ways. So like that, here sometimes Lord Shiva addresses Sati as Dakshayini. That means daughter of Daksha. Daughter of Daksha is Dakshayini. So she says, to be called Dakshayini itself is making me, generally when we are in good mood, when we are talking, he sometimes says, oh, Dakshayini, I feel bad because I am associated with you, that my name is derived from my relationship with you, that is reminded in my head, and you are such an offender. It feels bad. Because, it's not today, it happened some time back, right? That the Daksha offended Lord Shiva. And in the intermediary period, when Lord Shiva and Mother Sati, they were having discussion. Sometimes he may call her Dakshayini, and she feels very bad. She felt very bad. Why I am, that reminds me of my position of the blasphemer's daughter, like that. So she feels that Daksha is an incarnation of all offenses. He's a very great person, but because he offended Lord Shiva, he's been termed like an incarnation of all offenses. That means the mad elephant of this one. The offense to a devotee is mad elephant. One has to be very, very careful how we deal with devotees, particularly, and with senior devotees. It's a mad elephant offense, they call. That it can destroy our creeper of devotion. Last week, Maharaj was giving class, right, where he was talking about this also. This mad elephant offense. If you commit an offense against a Vaishnava, the Bhakti Lata Beach, which is the creeper of devotion, which is supposed to be growing in us, not visible to us, but it is growing towards the supreme planet, Goloka Vrindavan, going, and that could get destroyed if we blaspheme a devotee. So she feels so bad. Oh, why I am being remembered as the daughter of Daksha. It's not a very nice position to be in. Since her body was constantly a source of unhappiness, she decided to give it up, writes Prabhupada. Next verse. Maitreya, the sage, told Vidura, O annihilator of enemies, while thus speaking to her father in the arena of sacrifice, Sati sat down on the ground and faced north. Dressed in saffron garments, she sanctified herself with water and closed her eyes to absorb herself in the process of mystic yoga. So Sati here knows Ashtanga Yoga. That is very clear. And it's also mentioned she wore saffron cloth. So before leaving the body, such great personalities wear saffron cloth. Prabhupada explains all these things. Sanctified herself with water, achaman, whatever. We do all that also by doing deity worship. So she performs all that and closed her eyes and observed herself in the process of mystic yoga. So he says, so she would have learnt it from either Daksha himself or from Lord Shiva, because both of them are great personalities. Daksha also, see, he's a great personality. His only thing is his blasphemy of Lord Shiva, and that has actually completely destroyed him. Otherwise, Daksha is supposed to be a fantastic personality, very respectable. There's nothing to actually call him, to fault him, but for this blasphemy of Lord Shiva. So, but that has taken away everything out of him. That is the mad elephant offense. And it's Prabhupada also says such great transcendentalists, they are not under the control of nature for their death. They can leave the body whenever they want, however they want, wherever they want to go, they can go. But don't take this as transcendental. This is also material. It's there, no? Easy journey to different planets. So it's not necessary that I need to be a transcendentalist to be able to go to moon planet or Chandraloka or, heavenly planets. I can go based on my practice of yogic, this one, not specifically that bhakti yoga, but it is like simply to get these powers we can perform yoga. And today's world is all about that, I should get nice bodily features, I should control my mind for doing this material indulgence. Those kind of things are there. They are also dubbed as yoga. But this Ashtanga yoga is a process where they can even create, with that power, they can create universes also. Like, Vishwamitra created one planet for one of his so-called devotee that he wanted to go. He wanted to go to Swarga, and Indra did not give visa. Then he said, oh, who are you to give visa? I will create another planet which is better than yours. He created there and he sent Trishangu. He sent that his devotee there to that place. And then Indra had to compromise. Oh, how come that world is also as good as mine? Then my power will be lost. Then he had to compromise with this Vishwamitra. So Vishwamitra at that time more not as a great devotee, but more as a powerful yogi. So you can do such things. And the yogis leave their body without having to follow the natural process, as per nature, how we all die. It is not like that for them. So it's also mentioned how they leave the body. They bring the what do you call the air? The Mooladhara air. They bring it from below the body, bring it at different stages that we will discuss in the next verse. Bring it to the top of their head, and then from there, when the body bursts into flame, the soul jumps out of it. This is a very graphically we can understand, but not actually realization, because that's a very bigger subject in terms of opulence, material opulence. Then, next verse. First of all, she sat in the required sitting posture, and then she carried the life air upwards and placed it in the position of equilibrium near the navel. Then she raised her life air mixed with intelligence to the heart, and then gradually toward the pulmonary passage, and from there to between her eyes. So here Prabhupada actually writes, see, this system, the power is actually more towards the bottom of our back. I think it's called Kundalini. It's a power that it's there, the tail of the backbone, like that. It's there. From there, they raise it to the navel. From there, they bring it to the chest. From there to the throat. Then in between the eyes, and then take to the head, and then leave the body. So they can do all these things very nicely. Such powerful personalities, they can perform such activities. But again, Prabhupada says, this is not this gymnastics what we do and call it as yoga in material world. So like, we also do, like, our bodily circulation becomes better. You sit in a specific posture like this. All these things are there. Different yogas for improving your knee trouble, you improving your blood circulation, do this, do that, and all that. But these are even controlling the subtle elements inside the body. That is a different thing altogether. So the yoga process as described in the Kesava Shruti prescribes how one can control his living force according to his desire and transmigrate from one body to another or from one place to another. In other words, yoga practice is not meant to keep the body fit. Any transcendental process of spiritual realization automatically helps one to keep the body fit, for it is the spirit soul that keeps the body always fresh. Very, very different way of looking at it, right? See, for example, devotees, Prabhupada says you don't have to do any of these big yogasanas and all that. You simply follow the regulative principles, chant your 16 rounds, and your body will be perfect. But sometimes, most of the times we don't follow everything properly, then we need to do all these extra fittings. But actually, if we are very nicely situated in our process, like eating, regulated eating, not eating things which are like a lot of with so much of what do you call spicy food. And if you see how many devotees who are cooking for visiting devotees, Maharaj and all, they will know what they eat. They don't take chilies, they don't take. See, these are all prescribed. So if we have to follow all these procedures properly, there is no need to do anything extra to keep our body fit. So this process of devotional service actually takes care of everything. Karma yoga, Jnana yoga, Ashtanga yoga, everything is already built into Bhakti yoga. But if we don't follow properly, then we may need to additionally add all these things, side fittings like that. But originally, this does not require any pure devotional service. Actually, it's not dependent on any of the other yogas. All yogas are already inbuilt into it, but others require Bhakti yoga to be part of it. But here, this is not required. So that's what he's saying here. But if one takes it, okay. Spiritual automatically helps one to keep the body fit, for it is the spirit soul that keeps the body always fresh. As soon as the spirit soul is out of the body, the material body immediately begins to decompose. Any spiritual process keeps the body fit without separate endeavor. But if one takes it that the ultimate aim of yoga is to maintain the body, then he is mistaken. So these are all very, very powerful words of Srila Prabhupada. Okay, then. The Bhakti Yoga process directly elevates the soul to the spiritual planets where life is eternally blissful and full of knowledge. Therefore, Bhakti Yoga is considered to be the greatest of all yoga systems. We discussed this. Okay, let me go to the next one. 26. Thus, in order to give up her body, which has been so respectfully and affectionately seated on the lap of Lord Shiva, who is worshipped by great sages and saints, Sati, due to anger towards her father, began to meditate on the fiery air within the body. So we have seen many photos like Parvati, Sati sitting in the lap of Lord Shiva. That body is supposed to be not an ordinary body, right? To be in such close association with Lord Shiva. It's very, very, very powerful body, very most beautiful. It's not the peak of what do you call the transcend between material and spiritual, but the best of material body. But that she is ready to give up for the to condemn the blasphemy of her father. So that is the point one we need to understand. So, and it is mentioned, Prabhupada uses this here to explain this one. This serves example set by Sati is to be followed. One should be extremely careful about associating with persons who are not respectful to the higher authorities. One should be extremely careful about associating with persons who are not respectful to higher authorities. It is therefore instructed in the Vedic literature that one should always be free from the association of atheists and non-devotees and should try to associate with devotees, for by the association of a devotee, one can be elevated to the platform of self-realization. So association is important. Whom we associate with. Prabhupada says, this injunction is stressed in many places in Srimad Bhagavatam. If one wants to be liberated from the clutches of material existence, then one has to associate with great souls. And if one wants to continue one's material existence life, then one may associate with other persons who are materialistic. We know this, right? If you are wanting to associating with materialistic person, only those thoughts will come. People, oh, I went on this holiday, I did this there, I did this bungee jumping, this thing. We'll, oh, is it nice? I also want to do. But if you say someone, I went on this yatra, I went to, this place, this Krishna's pastime was like, oh. So we get that association changes our consciousness. So, and he says this, another thing about the sex life. He says, the materialistic way of life is based on sex life. Thus, both becoming addicted to sex life and associating with persons who are addicted to sex life are condemned in the Vedic literature, because all these desires come from that basic thing of sex life. So either becoming too addicted to sex life or associating with persons who are too much addicted to sex life is a very big danger for us transcendentalists. However, association with great personalities, devotees who are great souls will elevate one to the spiritual platform. Okay. Now we'll see the next verse. I'm actually exceeding, but give me a few more minutes, we will complete. Sati concentrated all her meditation on the holy lotus feet of her husband, Lord Shiva, who is the supreme spiritual master. This is what I mentioned earlier when I started. I said, right, here it's written, who is the supreme spiritual master of all the world. Thus, she became completely cleansed of all taints of sin and quit her body in a blazing fire by meditating on the fiery elements. So here Prabhupada is actually saying, if you meditate on the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and you leave the body, you don't have to get into another body. In this case, actually, Sati, her entire process was to leave this body, not to go back to Godhead. Okay, this is very transcendental in one sense, because she is the external energy of the Lord. So, but we need to understand all these things with, we can't immediately judge, like that. But then, but at the same time, it is also still up to, it said, right, up to Brahma, up even, there is a time, or even with Lord Shiva, there's a slight tinge of thing that, I am the body. I mean, that will be by 0, infinite times 0, 0, 0, 1. But still that infinite times 0 and 1 is there, right? That is the problem. And therefore, here Sati is actually, why it takes so much trouble? After that, you can go back to Godhead, but she chooses to take another body. To associate again with Lord Shiva. That is like she's meditating on his lotus feet, and you get to that lotus feet again. So that is her position, that she is actually doing it. But so Prabhupada is writing that if you meditate on the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, you can go back to Godhead. Prabhupada is saying it is not necessary for one to manifest a blazing fire externally. For if one forgets all his bodily relationship within this material world and becomes situated in a spiritual identity, it is said that one has been freed from all material contamination by the blazing fire of yogic samadhi or ecstasy. This is the topmost perfection of yoga. If one keeps his bodily relationship with this material body and poses himself as a great yogi, he is not a bona fide yogi. And he's also quoting Srimad Bhagavatam. He's saying, Yat Kirtanam Yat Smaranam. Simply by chanting the holy name of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, simply by remembering the lotus feet of Krishna, simply by offering prayers to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one is immediately freed from material contamination. The material bodily concept by the blazing fire of ecstasy. This effect takes place immediately without a second's delay. Here also is according to Sri Jiva Goswami, that Sati quit her body means that she gave up within her heart her relationship with Daksha. Sri Vishwanatha Chakravarti Thakura also comments that since Sati is the superintendent deity of the external potency, when she quit her body, she did not get a spiritual body, but simply transferred from the body she had received from Daksha. So this is also, like I said, right? We can't immediately put down Sati saying, oh, why did she take up another material body? Because it is said she is the external potency of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Means he has to be here in this material world to perform that service for the Lord. Therefore, Sri Vishwanatha Chakravarti is saying that she is transferred herself to another body and not be in this body, because this body is a blasphemed body. Why to be in that? But she didn't also choose to go back to Godhead because she has a duty to perform, right? Other commentators also say that she immediately transferred herself into the womb of Menaka, her future mother. So this is the position of Sati, very powerful personality. 28. When Sati annihilated her body in anger, there was a tumultuous roar all over the universe. Why had Sati, the wife of the most respectable demigod, Lord Shiva, quit her body in such a manner? Naturally, right? If Lord Shiva's wife quits her body, it is not some ordinary matter. Okay, some ant got killed or something like that. It is a huge disturbance in the entire universe. Everybody is, oh, how come this happened? Oh, Daksha is such a great lady. How did she leave her body? Lord Shiva's wife, how did she leave? All these gossips will be going on, right? So that is being discussed here. So he says, see, in one sense, if you see Sati left because of anxiety that, her father is behaving like this, the torn between her father and husband and all that. But he's saying actually, if you are actually fully spiritually, it's just using that situation to explain why you should take up pure devotional service. Not that, Sati's position is so bad or whatever, it's a very transcendental thing. It's an example for us. But we have to derive from that situation for us. Oh, like this, we are torn between all these things in material world. Why not be completely devoid of all of this? So Prabhupada explains, therefore Srimad Bhagavatam explained that one has to achieve real satisfaction. Yayatma suprasidati. But Atma, the body, mind and soul all become completely satisfied only if one develops devotional service to the absolute truth. Savai pumsa paro dharma yato bhaktir adokshada. So adokshada means the absolute truth. If one can develop his unflinching love for the transcendental Supreme Personality of Godhead, that can give complete satisfaction. Otherwise, there is no possibility of satisfaction in the material world or anywhere else. So why to leave this body in anxiety and all that? Leave it perfectly, be happy to be situated in the spiritual plane. That is the recommendation. Next verse. It was astonished that Daksha, who was Prajapati, the maintainer of all living entities, was so disrespectful to his own daughter Sati, who was not only chaste but was also a great soul, that she gave up her body because of his neglect. So such a stone-hearted personality. See, how can someone let his own daughter leave her body? That is a very bad state of affairs. How could he neglect Sati, who was his own daughter? It was the duty of Daksha to look after the maintenance and comfort of Allah. Daksha is Prajapati, right? That means he is the Pati of all the Praja, of all the living entities. That means he has to be very, very caring for all the Prajas. But his own daughter, he did not bother. So that shows about his what do you call, his pride. It's not that he didn't have love for his daughter, but his pride overtook his love for his daughter. That we will see in the next verse. Daksha, who is so hard-hearted that he is unworthy to be a Brahmana, will gain excessive ill fame because of his offense to his daughter, because of not having prevented her death, and because of his great envy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So this is most important, that he had so much of envy with Lord Shiva and therefore Lord Krishna, that envy and led to so much of pride and anger and all that. His own daughter is leaving the body because of his behavior. He said, okay, ma, forgive me. It's okay. It's my mistake. He didn't say like that. I don't care even if you die, but my prestige, my position that, I am such a great personality is more important for me. So Prabhupada says, Arya means one who's very, what do you call, who's actually following all the principles of the Vedic scriptures. We say, no, Aryans, Prabhupada in second chapter in Bhagavad Gita, you will find that definition. I will not go into the details. But Aryan is one who is very, very cultured from the Vedic standpoint. But here Daksha, such a bad behavior is exhibiting. He is not worth being called an Arya. That is described here. Persons who are too sexually inclined and materialistic become so hard-hearted because of a slight loss of prestige that they can tolerate even the death of their daughter. So the root cause is inclined to sex life. Prajapati, his duty was to bring more children. That is how Prajapati's role was, to bring more children. Naturally, in material world, bringing children is more inclined towards sex life. And he was so into that, and because of that association with that mood, he's become so hard-hearted. It is mentioned here. Okay, so the next one. Now 3 more verses to complete. While people were talking among themselves about the wonderful voluntary death of Sati, the attendants who had come with her readied themselves to kill Daksha with their weapons. Naturally, right? Now that she suddenly passed away, the bodyguards of Sati, naturally, she has come with so many bodyguards sent by Lord Shiva. So they all got, what is this? We came to protect her, and here our mistress is, dying. And then they got very angry. They started attacking this Daksha's party. Next verse. They came forward forcibly, but Bhrigu Muni saw the danger, and offering oblations into the southern side of the sacrificial fire, immediately uttered mantric hymns from the Yajur Veda, by which the destroyers of yajnic performances could be killed immediately. So Bhrigu Muni is a great Brahmana, very powerful person. So he chants some mantras from the Yajur Veda. As a result, some demigods came out from that fire, and they started fighting against this the ghosts and other the bodyguards of Sati. When Bhrigu Muni offered oblations in the fire, immediately many thousands of demigods named Rubus became manifested. All of them were powerful, having achieved strength from Soma, the moon. So this power of the Brahmana is very, very important, that, and how the chanting of certain mantras can manifest some of these mystic powers. They are still there, but unfortunately in today's world, we don't know even to pronounce. We are struggling to even read verses from Sanskrit, right? How can we chant them perfectly? One small pronunciation slightly up, down, it can change the complete meaning in Sanskrit. So they were so perfect in their thing that they can actually manifest such wonderful feats. By chanting Vedic mantras or chanting the Gayatri or Rug mantra, one can attain the results one desires. In the present age of Kali, it is recommended by Lord Chaitanya that simply by chanting Hare Krishna, one can attain all perfection. So this is simple and most perfect. And at the end of the day, what is the use of all these powers that we get? Everything will go away with us. We again have to take a body. What is the big point of getting all these powers but not able to do anything worthwhile with our life, right? So that is the point. So when the Rubu demigods attacked the ghosts and Guhyakas with half-burnt fuel from the Yajna fire, all these attendants of Sati fled in different directions and disappeared. This was possible simply because of Brahma Tejas, Brahmanical power. So we discussed this, the power of this Bhrigu Muni is so much that he could generate thousands of demigods, and all of them could attack and kill kill and drive away all these yakshas. Prabhupada writes, according to the Pancharatrika system, in this age, the entire population is supposed to consist of Shudras because the Brahmanical culture has been lost. Therefore, we don't have the capacity to be Brahmanas and chant such mantras. That is what is the point. But if anyone displays the sign of understanding Krishna consciousness, he should be accepted. According to Vaishnava Smriti regulation, as a prospective Brahmana and should be given all facilities to achieve the highest perfection. The most magnanimous gift of Lord Chaitanya is that the highest perfection of life is available in this fallen age if one simply adopts the process of chanting Hare Krishna, which is able to bring about the fulfillment of all activities in self-realization. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So the best process prescribed for Kali Yuga is chanting the holy name of the Lord. And with that, we can get eternal benefit, not simply these kind of mystic powers, which does not last beyond. You will see in the later portion, all these great things that Bhrigu got, all destroyed. And Bhrigu himself was chastised by another powerful personality, even though he could bring in thousands of demigods to fight, but there is always one superior to that power also. This is material world. He can think, I am so great, but there is a greater fellow. And he may think, I am great, but there is another greater fellow. So there's no end to this. But if you take to the devotional process, all these problems are completely satisfied for life. So this is the message that we get from Sati's this Leela. So I will end here. If there are any questions, comments, welcome. Hare Krishna. Again, I am sorry for overshooting. Hare Krishna. Looks like it's been too long a class. Devotees would have found it difficult to sit through. Sorry.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dhanavad Pranam. Thank you for the wonderful class. Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dhanavad Pranam to everybody assembled. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mata.
Dhanavad Pranam, Prabhuji. Very nice class. Very enlightening.
Dhanavad Pranam. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Dhanavad Pranam. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Dhanavad Pranam. It was a very nice class.
All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Dhanavad Pranam. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Thank you very much. Dhanavad Pranam.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. So, can we end the meeting, Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you very much, Prabhu. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna devotees. Thank you. Hare Krishna.